And I am back for another episode of Eve to Engines, my 1 hour, 1 life smithing tutorial. This is episode 5, and we are getting fired up with the Newcomen. Today I'll be showing you guys how to use this Newcomen hammer to make a roller and a pulley drive mechanism. And then I'll also be showing you guys how to use that roller and pulley drive mechanism. But first, we are going to run the Newcomen well. So last time I did set this up for you guys, but I never actually fired it and ran it. So I'm going to show you guys how to light this up and then also how to reset it. We just click on this Newcomen pump once it's all set up with our firebrand, and that'll light it up. And then we will use a tank to get the water out. So unlike with the shallow well where you use a bowl and the deep well where you can use a bucket, you have to use a tank on this Newcomen pump. So we'll click that with our tank. And then we are going to get this thing reset. So the first step is we need to add our rubber tire. So we'll click on our vulcanized rubber tire and we'll put that in the Newcomen first. And now it's a dry Newcomen pump, so we have to add a full bucket of water. It has to be a full bucket. You can't use a partial bucket. And then we'll add a basket of charcoal. And then it's all set and ready to be fired up again. All right, so we'll need some water to run the smithing Newcomen. So I'm just going to bring this tank over here into our smithy. And the smithing Newcomen doesn't require a tire each time that you run it, but it does need a full bucket of water, just like the well, and a basket of charcoal. So we'll start by adding our bucket of water here. We can click the tank and then pour that into our bucket. And it doesn't work if you use the tank directly on the Newcomen, so you do need a bucket. And then we'll grab our basket and throw some charcoal in here. And now this thing is ready to get fired up. So to use the hammer, you are also going to have to light your forge with charcoal. And the forge lasts a little longer than the Newcomen does. So I always like to light up the forge first, then light up the Newcomen. And you'll need some tongs handy, so make sure you've got those close by. Fire's getting a bit low, so let me just throw a log on there. And yeah, I think we are ready to get this thing fired up. So just to show you, we'll be heating the steel and then using it twice to make a small pulley. And then we're also going to be making 3 large pulleys, and that'll be hot steeling it 3 times on the hammer. So click once and twice to make a small pulley, and then 3 times for the large pulley, and we need 3 total. So we'll just make those real quick. Great. And that will give us the pulleys that we need to make the roller and the pulley drive mechanism. So for the roller, you add 1 large pulley and then another large pulley. And for the mechanism, we need a large pulley and a small pulley. And you have to put the large pulley on first. If you try and put the small pulley on, it doesn't work. So it has to be the large pulley. And then once the large pulley's on, you can add the small pulley. But this thing isn't done. It's disconnected. So we need to make a rubber belt. So let's just put some kindling here in our oven. And we'll grab our disconnected pulley drive and bring it over close here to our rubber. So to make the belt, you need to right click on your bucket to get a raw rubber tire. And then once you have that, you can use it on the disconnected pulley drive mechanism, and that'll stretch the rubber tire out into a belt. And you can't put it back in the bucket of rubber dough once you've made a belt, so you don't want to make too many more than what you need. But we will need a couple, just because you need one for each engine. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that pretty soon. So I'll make one for later, since we're here cooking up belts anyway. All right, and then once this dies down to coals, all we have to do is click on the oven with our raw rubber belt, and we've got a vulcanized rubber belt. And that's what we add, and our pulley drive mechanism is done. A recent change that was added is that you can now right click to pull the belt off, which can be really helpful if you need to make another belt for some reason. You can take the old belt off, and then you can stretch out your raw rubber and make a new belt. So that's our pulley drive mechanism done. That's our roller mechanism done. So I'm just going to organize a little bit because we are going to roll next. Now, for the roller, you have to heat the steel ingots in order to make rods. So we will need to do that. I'm also going to be showing you guys how to make a bore mechanism and a lathe mechanism in this episode. There is another thing that you can use the pulley drive mechanism for, which is a drill bit. But that is only used to make one tool, and that is the draw plate. So we will save that for another episode. All right, we'll load up this roller, and I'm just going to try and roll as many of these steel rods that I can using mouse controls. I'll probably get like 7 or something like that. And we'll just use those to make pipes, and the pipes will be really useful for getting oil in our next episode, which will be oil drilling. All right, grab a firebrand and light this thing up. You always want to make sure you've got everything that you need close at hand. So I'm going to grab my tongs and put them close by. And you want a place to put your firebrand that's not going to be in the way. So I'm going to put it up here behind the Newcomen. Make a little space there. Light the forge first. And then we just roll these out. All right, and the roller died, so I'm just going to set this last one on a flat stone, and we're going to make a blade blank because we need one of those to make our bore, and we'll need another one to make our lathe. So we've got our blade blank, but it needs to be a blade, so grab my handy file. Right click to switch, and we've got our steel blade. And you just add this onto the pulley drive mechanism, and there you've got your bore mechanism all ready to go. Put that on our Newcomen tower. And I don't need the forge for using the bore, but it's just a habit to reload that whenever it's empty. So yeah, we'll just grab these rods, and then once the Newcomen is firing, we'll just use them directly on that. No need to heat them up or use tongs or anything like that. So we'll also want to make a pump valve jacket. And to do that, we're going to use a rod on the bore to make a pipe, and then use that pipe on the bore, and that will make our pump valve jacket. So I'll just do this real quick. Make all of them into pipes. And then the last one, we'll just click twice and make a pump valve jacket. So this pump valve jacket is what we are going to need to get tanks of oil. You don't need one if you already have kerosene, because you can actually use an engine to pump the oil, and you get a lot more oil that way. So that's usually how you're going to end up doing it. But if you have no oil at all, say you're on a small server and there's no kerosene anywhere on the map, you will need to use this pump valve to get your very first tank, because you need kerosene to run the engine. So if you don't have it, you can't use the engine to pump. All right, I just realized I forgot to show you guys how to make the lathe, and I said I was going to do that this episode. So let's go over that real quick. You're going to need to make another blade. So we'll just light this forge, and we'll smith a new blade blank here. Oh, a little bit of lag. There we go. And the other thing you're going to need is a short shaft and a rope. So I've got an extra firebow drill here, which has both of those things. So we'll grab our short shaft, use the knife, and grab our rope. And then we can make a tied short shaft. So this is the same thing that you use to make the hatchet. We made one of these in episode 1. And then all you have to do is file up your blade blank and put that steel blade on the tied short shaft. And there you go. You've got your lathe head. You right click your pulley drive mechanism to pull off the blade, and you can add your lathe, and you've got a Newcomen lathe. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you have a wonderful day.